All of this comes as the president marks his first 50 days in office. Joining me from Washington to break it all down is CBS News senior political editor Steve Chaggaris. Steve, thanks so much for being with us. I want you to go ahead and kind of outline. You put together a list of some of the president's highs and lows during his first 50 days. So let's start with the list of things that the president has gotten right, in your opinion. Go.
Well, first, I think look at his speech to Congress last week. That was a speech that Republicans really loved. The polls showed that it was well received among Americans. It was the boost from that, I think, was pretty short, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But there was no question that that speech was one of the highest points, I think, of his administration so far. The selection of Neil Gorsuch to replace Sam Alito on the Supreme Court, again, to be continued. We still have to get a confirmation on that, but Republicans, I don't think I've seen them as unified behind something as they were the day that Trump announced that selection.
Yeah, they like that guy.
They really, really liked him. And then I think you got to give the Trump folks some credit on this. This is what they're touting in their first 50 days as their success, which is following through on some of their campaign promises, whether it's getting out of the TPP deal, whether it's starting construction on the Keystone Pipeline, moving forward on repealing Obamacare. These are things that he promised on the campaign trail, and he's following through, whether you agree with it or not. At least he's following through on some of his campaign promises.
Yeah, and his supporters very happy about that. What about the other side of that? What are some of the things that may be a problem for the president?
Well, I mean, I think some of the things you look at over the last few weeks that have caused him problems. The first rollout of the travel ban, no question, that was not rolled out in a way that would be considered smooth in any way whatsoever. It caused him a lot of problems initially. It caught up in the courts, and he's tried to fix that with the new executive order on that. But that was a big hiccup for him early on in his presidency. The Russia controversy, which in so many ways
it's not going away.
Continues to rear its head, whether it was Michael Flynn resigning, whether it was Jeff Sessions. I mentioned the speech that Trump gave to Congress the next day was the Jeff Sessions revelation that he had met with the Russian ambassador during the campaign. So that's a story. And then, of course, Trump's tweets about the wiretapping allegations against President Obama. This is all tied into the Russia story. It's just something that's not going away. It's causing him a lot of problems. I think it's something we're going to see be a major problem for him moving forward. And then finally, it's just the general self-inflicted distractions. You remember the day of his inauguration, he talked about the size of the crowds, and that was a story for a few days. The continued insistence of voter fraud, that was another story that lasted for a week or two after his inauguration. So it's those, I think, were the biggest issues he sort of faced so far.
With being halfway through the first 100 days, his approval ratings remain at historic lows. You can't deny that. Does uniting Americans appear to be a priority at this point for him?
I think what's a priority for him is moving forward with his policy ideas. I mean, I think you've seen them move really, really quickly on those things that I mentioned, whether it's executive orders or whether it's Obamacare. I think you're going to see them after Obamacare try to move quickly on other things such as infrastructure spending, tax reform. So that, I think, is the most important thing. I think they'll probably deal with the unifying later. But what's interesting is the polls that have come out in the last week or so since he gave that speech to Congress have ticked up a little bit. Yes, they're still at historic lows for a president at this point in his presidency, but they ticked up. And I wonder if the distractions post-speech, as we see polls coming out next week and the week after, whether they'll not come back down or not.
Steve, what does the president have to deal with moving forward, and how do you think it'll go? I mean, we get past the first 100 days. You got a lot left.
I mean, it's been rocky so far. I expect it will continue to be rocky. Of course, we're going to see what the success or failure or the fallout is, frankly, from this repeal and replace battle. And he's dealing with his own party on this, first of all. What is the fallout from that in terms of the Republican Party? Can he get it through Congress and get something to sign? We'll be watching that very closely. Again, the Russia controversy is something that's not going away. We're going to keep that, is guaranteed to stay on the front pages over the next weeks and months. And then what is he going to do policy-wise moving forward? Also, how is the Gorsuch confirmation battle going to work? I think we're going to be paying very close attention to Congress, whether it's that confirmation battle, can he get Gorsuch through and confirmed, and also what's going to happen with infrastructure, tax reform, the wall, how is he going to pay for the wall? That's going to be a big issue moving forward as well. We'll watch very closely his things that he wants to get done in Congress.
The president himself, Steve, has said that he would give himself an A for achievement, but a C in messaging. What is your overall assessment here, and what do you think he needs to do moving forward to maybe avoid some of the pitfalls we've talked about of the past now 50 days or so?
It's interesting you mentioned that. It was a remarkable statement. He said it before he gave his speech to Congress. And it's very rare, if at all, do you ever see Donald Trump sort of with the introspective, really self-criticism. You never really see that from him. And I thought it was a very remarkable moment that he gave the messaging a C. I think part of that was on him, part of that was pointing toward his communicators. And I think, you know, again, part of this is self-inflicted. Some of this messaging, he's getting in the way of his own messages by tweeting some controversial things, whether it's about wiretapping, whether it's about voter fraud, the things that we talked about. So part of it is that. Part of that is the people who do the communicating for him don't all sound like they're on the same page. We listen to Sean Spicer every day. He doesn't seem to have all the answers. He doesn't seem to be necessarily on the same page in terms of talking points with what Trump is thinking on some of these issues. And so I think they've got to work out the kinks in terms of their overall communication in order for that to get better. But it's, again, interesting that he alluded to that before he gave that speech. I thought it was fascinating. All
right, we'll see how it all plays out, too, moving forward to those 100 days. Steve Chaggaris, thank you so much.
Thanks, Jamie.